might get a button to confirm that we are recording this. So again, welcome. I'm so glad that you are here. I, as the chair of the Zone 26-27 Rotary Service Task Force, am proud and honored to be working to support connecting the 30 districts in our zones 26-27. Those 26-27, it covers much of the western part of the United States and a little bit of Canada. And we have been in existence since I think January 2020 is when we received official kind of approval. So it's been over 2 years, and we've had some wonderful conversations and conferences, virtual conferences. And so we are back for yet another conference. I am excited about today's topic. This is an area where I think Rotary has a unique ability to engage. There's quite a number of young people involved in Rotary service programs, and I think that there can be much opportunity for engaging young people and with a focus on service for life and having people join and participate in Rotary as they grow out of their youth, so to say. So without further ado, I'd like to take the opportunity to welcome Lane Calvert. Lane is a good friend down in, at least I'm in Northern California, so Lane is in Southern California, District 5320. And Lane has quite a significant and prestigious background in supporting youth programs. I know after also being a past district governor, as well as supporting youth programs in 2010 when the Fifth Avenue service was put in place, and working at a zone level to support and connect different districts and focus on that. So without further ado, I turn it over to Lane, who is our MC. Welcome, Lane. Thanks so much for being here.
Well, welcome everybody. We are really excited that you are here. As you've heard, this is our 8th virtual conference. And we also did online and in-person presentations at the Institute since 2020. And a reason I'm in a suit is, which most of you are casual, is for 2 reasons. One is as the MC, I feel that's appropriate, having been a past governor. The other is the banner behind me, which is Lead the Way, which is the 2006, 2007, when Bill Boyd was our international president. And also because Jim Proberser, one of our presenters from Virginia, is one of my classmates. And also just an interesting fact, Holger Kanak, our international president, past, was also a Lead the Way governor. So that's why I'm wearing the official tie of Bill Boyd, which is his official fish in power fish in New Zealand, but in our area, it's abalone. So very popular tie among the women first, and then the men got to know it. So anyway, today's conference is titled Reconnecting, as intended to explore how Rotarian leaders can renew our relationships with those youth who have participated in the past in our Rotary Interact, RILA, and Youth Exchange programs. As a past district youth chair before and after governor, these are very important to me, and also working 40 years for the Boy Scouts. If you notice a pin on my jacket that says I'm a Cliff Docterman Award winner, who was another real strong youth program supporter as an international president. And that's the highest award for scouting and Rotary members. So these are very important to us, and we are really looking, as I like to put it, building a pipeline from Interact, RILA, and Youth Exchange to either a Rotary Club, an E-Club, or a Rotaract. So what is our fourfold purpose for reconnecting Rotary Youth Program alumni today. First, we are reconnecting them with the family of Rotary. We are always a family, whether you're Interact, Rotaract, RILA, Youth Exchange, we're all one family. We're reconnecting them with each other. We're also reconnecting them with the Rotary Youth Service programs in which they were participants, to make them consider how they are able to assist with and help perpetuate these programs from which they have benefited. And finally, we reconnect them in a sustainable way by encouraging them to consider becoming a member of a Rotary Club, a Rotary E-Club, or a Rotaract Club. So that's the pipeline we're trying to develop today, keep those youth involved and become the leadership of our future. We have an exciting conference planned for you today. The flow of the event will include a plenary session with 2 featured speakers for about 30 minutes, a panel of Rotary Youth Program alumni who are now in leadership positions in their own districts, followed by 2 breakout sessions of 45 minutes each. The breakout sessions will run concurrently and will be repeated, so attendees get to choose 2 sessions today to attend. More information on that later. In the meantime, please welcome our first speaker, Mike Freem. Mike is the Senior Supervisor for Alumni Relations at Rotary International. Mike manages the Alumni Relations Department staff while focusing on building connections with alumni of Rotary scholarships and programs for young leaders, maintaining contact with these alumni, and serving as a bridge between the alumni, Rotarians, and Rotary International. Mike is a Rotary alumnus, having earned a university scholarship from his hometown Rotary Club. He began working at Rotary in 2007, the year I ended as governor, and has spent his entire Rotary year in the Alumni Relations Department, first working with the Rotary Peace Fellow alumni. And now we want to welcome Mike. Feel free to type any questions or comments in the chat box, which Chris Miller, if you just came on board, our leader of the Zone 26-27 Youth Task Force, will control and let me know what the questions are, or however Chris wants to do it. Mike, we're all yours.
Great. Thank you, Lane. I'm really happy to be here with you all today. It's exciting to see at such a wide Rotary level these efforts to engage with our program participants and alumni, because I think we all know what an important role our own engagement has on these people's lives. And that's a lot of what I'm going to talk about today. I think as has already been suggested, that sometimes alumni are an under-recognized part of the Rotary community. And a lot of our efforts get focused on serving our members, which of course, unmute me. Serving our members is of course really important, but we also need to remember that we should be constantly growing and refreshing our membership, and people who participate in Rotary's programs and who earn scholarships from Rotary are, to use an overused term, low-hanging fruit. These are people who already know about Rotary and are ready to continue to engage with us, and so it's on us to take the lead in talking to them. As mentioned in my introduction from Lane, thank you. I am a Rotary alumnus myself, and this goes back many, many years to when I was in high school, and like many people who are in high school, was trying to figure out how I was going to pay for college. And my book guidance counselor at the time said, you know, there's this scholarship from our Rotary Club. I think you should apply for it. It seems like it fits with what you would do. And so I did. I applied, and I didn't know much about Rotary at that point, but I applied for the scholarship and I was accepted, and I earned this district scholarship. It was not even district, it was a club-based scholarship. And it wasn't to study anything specific. It was really to help me be a better student. So it was to cover books and fees and expenses like that. And as most people who receive Rotary scholarships do, I met my Rotary Club. I spoke briefly at one of their breakfasts, and I was at their meeting, and I talked to people there, and came to appreciate more what Rotary was. And after that, graduated from high school, of course, went to college, took advantage of the scholarship that I had, and didn't even use all the money to buy beer, but used it for what it was supposed to be used for. Had a successful undergraduate experience, and went on with my life. And some of you might be asking right now, and what I didn't ask myself at the time, but I would have now, is well, what happened next with Rotary? And unfortunately, the answer is nothing. When I was studying in college, after I received the scholarship, I never heard from my Rotary Club. And I'll be honest that I also didn't try to go back and talk to them, but I was involved in my life. But no one from the Rotary Club reached out to me. No one ever asked me to come back and give a presentation on how my first year went, how I used my scholarship. There was no contact, and I really forgot about Rotary. And luckily, 15 years later, not really stumbled, but found a job opening here at Rotary's headquarters, and was fortunate enough to get the job in the alumni relations team. And it was at that point when I kind of thought to myself, wait a minute, that scholarship that I got way back a long time ago, that was a Rotary scholarship. I'm an alum too. I had no idea. I didn't even know that I was an alum. And so Rotary really got lucky in that I found Rotary again, and rather coincidentally re-engaged. So I want you all to hold that story, kind of keep it in the back of your minds as I go through the rest of my presentation here today. So usually when I do this, and I do this live, I ask people to raise their hands. Hey, who is in Rotaract? Who is in Interact? RILA, Youth Exchange, different scholarships, Global Grants, Peace Fellows. And of course, there's always a few Rotaractors in any crowd because there are so many of them. And depending on the crowd, I might find some Youth Exchange people, or, some RILA participants. There's always a couple scholarship winners. So my question, so you don't get the chance to yell it out, you're all muted, but think about that, and think about how you would be raising your hand to say, I am a proud, whatever it is that you are. But now I would ask, and I'll ask you all, what is it that you think that you all have in common? You all participated in different Rotary programs, but what do you have in common? And this is, I hope, a pretty easy answer, because the answer is Rotary, right? We've all experienced Rotary through our program, or as Rotarians working with programs. So we all have this experience. But next question then I would ask is, well, there's something that we have that's even further in common, and what is that? And that's that we've all benefited from Rotary. Okay, we made really good friends in Rotaract clubs or Interact clubs. We got to travel on scholarships and see other parts of the world that we never might have gotten to see on scholarships, or on youth exchanges, or even GSE. And we learned things. We got our education on behalf of Rotary, or we learned skills. We were in a RILA and we learned skills. So we have all benefited from being a part of the Rotary family, and our involvement in Rotary has benefited us. And I suspect that we all recognize that, and that is now an important part of who we are, is that Rotary has done something that benefited our lives. And now I'm going to ask you all to think of an even even think even farther, what's another way that we are all, what else do we have in common? How are we all connected? And that is that we all have a passion for Rotary, right? We're all here on a Saturday. But we all care deeply about Rotary, and we care deeply about our program participants and our alumni and doing what we can to make Rotary better. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here, right? So we are all passionate about Rotary. So as you're thinking about my story, I want you to also think about what is it that we can do to turn our passion for Rotary into action as it relates to program participants and alumni. So we talked a little bit, we benefited from, think back to when you were on your Rotary program. Think about the people that you met. Think about your friends and your colleagues, right? The people that you were friends with in your Rotaract club, the people who traveled with you perhaps to your same district on a youth exchange. If you were a Peace Fellow, the people who were also in your cohort, or the people who were in your RILA, right? Where are those people now? What are they doing? How did you connect with Rotary? And how did you stay connected with Rotary? And whereas they might not be, if they're not connected, what happened to them? Why are they not connected to Rotary? Why are they not engaged? And think about, what was it that happened, if you know, or maybe hazard some guesses. What might have happened that I am involved in Rotary and I'm a member of a club and I've done all of these things, and whereas, my friend Sam just went out and never has no connection to Rotary anymore. What happened there? So third thing to think about. Now I'm going to tell another story. I told my story. I'm going to tell this story about Tamara. Tamara's an alumna I met last year. She is from New Zealand, outside of Auckland, and she was an interactor. She wasn't president of our Interact Club or anything, but she enjoyed it. She liked being an Interact. And things were going really well. One day, a Rotarian from her district actually went and spoke at her Interact Club. And this Rotarian talked about opportunities in Rotary. She talked about Rotaract clubs. She talked about youth exchange. She talked about RILA, and offered these opportunities to the interactors. And Tamara was quite intrigued, and she reached out to Elaine, the Rotarian, and said, I'm interested in youth exchange. I've always wanted to travel to South America, which is relatively unusual for someone in New Zealand. There's not a lot of Spanish speakers in New Zealand. But she always wanted to travel to South America, and she worked with Elaine, got herself accepted into youth exchange, and took a trip to Lima, Peru for her youth exchange year. And it was a fantastic year. And she had a really great time. While she was in Lima, about 6 weeks after she started her exchange, something that seemed rather inconsequential, but was in fact remarkable, happened. And that was that Elaine reached out to her and asked her how things were going. It was a simple email, but Tamara saw it, replied, and said, Elaine, things are great. I'm really having a good time here in Lima, but I was surprised there's no Interact Club in my town. And Elaine said, wow, that's really too bad. What can we do about that? And so Elaine and Tamara started working together. And Tamara, through her host family and through the Rotarians that she knew in her district already in Lima, reached out to the district leadership. And Elaine talked to some contacts that she knew and gave some advice on how to connect with Rotary and how to take steps. And lo and behold, through Tamara's efforts, really Tamara's initiative, there's a brand new Interact Club in Lima that she started. And now Tamara is super engaged. And Tamara returned from her trip, went to university, joined the Rotaract Club at her university, and she believes she's going to be president of that club in a year or two. So she's really excited. And the point of this, of course, is what was that key thing that happened? Elaine reached out and engaged with Tamara and asked Tamara a really important question. how are things going and what can we do to help you? And Tamara answered. And just by asking that really, really simple question, it started this whole cascading effect that now there is a new Interact Club and a whole new set of young people who are being engaged in Rotary through a youth program. You also have now Tamara, who has come back and is energized and is not just someone who enjoys Interact but isn't a leader, but who now wants to be a leader within Rotaract. And I think that we can presume that if we stay engaged with her, that she will become a leader eventually of a Rotary Club. So think about Tamara's experience and then think about my experience and set aside the lucky part that I happened to move to Chicago and happened to find the job opening on Rotary staff. Where would I be right now? I would be sitting in Minnesota, my hometown, Eden Prairie, doing nothing that has to do with Rotary. I mean, I wouldn't be doing nothing, right? Rotary gave me a scholarship. I learned things, but I would have no connection to Rotary. Whereas Tamara, through just some really simple and very easy engagement, is now a leader in Rotaract and will continue to be a leader. And so this is the message that I hope you all take away from my presentation and from this whole conference is engage, engage, engage. Engaged program participants and alumni will stay a part of our organization. They may not become a member of a Rotary Club when they're 22. That may not be something that they're ready to do until they're 32 or 42. But if we stop talking to them when they're 18 years old, what are the chances that they come back? It's going to be low. But if we continue to engage with them, if we continue the conversation, if we continue to ask questions, what can we do to help you? Not even help you stay involved in Rotary. What can we do to help you? Those people are much more likely to stay engaged in Rotary. They'll stay a part of our organization, and our organization will be better because of it. So please go out, continue to engage our alumni. As I said, engage, engage, engage. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Very informative. It really brings us back to what we're all about today, and that's keeping those kids in our pipeline, whether they are interactors, whether they've gone to RILA, whether they've been RILA staff, whether they've moved on to Rotaract. We all are part of the Rotary program, and we want to keep them in the loop as Rotarian family, as we mentioned. So keep them engaged. Now we welcome Dr. Johnny Archer, a former district Rotaract representative, DRR, whose family started hosting youth exchange students when he was 2 years old. He then went on exchange as a high school junior, and his family has hosted scores of students over the years, and they've traveled extensively to visit students and families. Johnny is energetic, articulate, and passionate about Rotary. Please welcome Dr. Archer, and feel free to type any questions or comments in the chat box. So,
Thanks,
Johnny,
Lane.
it's yours.
The doctor caught me off guard a little bit there. Still getting used to that. I'm a 2022 grad of Oregon State. So just getting into a new flow there. Thanks, Mike, for your comments. I get some emails from you, as you might imagine, as a former program participant. So yeah, I have a slightly different Rotary trajectory than some, because I was heavily involved as a kid, and then throughout high school and college. So like was said, my family started hosting when I was about 2 years old. I count periodically how many students we've had over the years, and it's approaching 20 from all around the world. And I think that was probably one of the most important things growing up, because it gave me a worldview that was more diverse. And then once I got to go myself, I went to Austria. That further expanded my worldview. just learning languages does that, experiencing new cultures. And all throughout the journey, I stayed in touch off and on with my sponsor, Rotary Club. I then, when I came back from exchange, I helped start an Interact club because there wasn't one in my town. Moved on to Rotaract. That was sort of my own initiative. My club, my Rotary club, I don't think was super involved in youth services at that point, except for youth exchange, which they were heavily involved in, and still are. And so I just sort of did that journey on my own, switched universities after 4 years, switched Rotaract clubs there. I really enjoy, working with Rotarians, and, the Rotary motto and the avenues of service and the areas of focus are all, they speak strongly to me. And I think they speak strongly to most young people, or people in general, but emphasizing why we do what we do. And as a Rotary club, engaging in young people, inviting them to your service projects, I think is really big. I will say, because of all the programs I've been involved in, they don't have to work too hard to keep me involved. I feel sort of indebted to Rotary for the education I've gained from it, and also the network. And I'm still involved in youth exchange. I've sort of taken a step back this year, just because of moving across the country for an internship this year for work. But Anna Galloway, who's in attendance here, is a fellow Rotex, and we worked together to start a Rotex chapter in our district, 5100, which is still kicking. It is heavily involved in the training of future and current exchange students. So that's been very rewarding. I think youth program alumni are likely to stay involved if you bring them in to help with youth programs, because that's sort of their passion. That's how they got involved in the first place. So that's been a good outlet for me personally. The Rotary pipeline thing has come up a couple times already. That's the idea that you find young people who are engaged, passionate, service-minded, get them plugged into Interact, and then can encourage them to join Rotaract, and encourage those Rotaractors to then join Rotary clubs. I think that is valuable, because like Mike said, it's very easy to lose track of Rotary on your way. But at the same time, I think planting the seed is more important. So as long as you make those personal connections with the students and young professionals, and just let them, check in periodically, invite them to things, and if Rotary still speaks to them, they'll find their way back. Currently, I'm just involved in Rotex. When COVID hit, that was a big sort of shift for youth exchange, as you all can imagine or have probably experienced personally. We had to, so we had students, inbound students in the country, and they were coming to us as former youth exchange students, asking for advice. Should they go home? Should they stay? Things like that. And so our group really came together, and that was a humbling experience, I guess, helping them navigate that. And then going forward with Rotarians on our district committee, with guidance from Rotary International, how's the program going to look in future years and whatnot. And I think we still retained a portion of that flexible, hybrid ability to an extent, which has allowed me to stay involved, which I appreciate. I plan to go back to Oregon, to my home district, next year, and I'll get back involved there. My point is that both from Interact to Rotaract and Rotaract to Rotary, those people are often going through times of transition themselves. And so you may not see them a lot. And it does take a conscious effort to check in periodically, invite them to dinner or whatnot. Also, if your club sponsors a Rotaract club, it's also it shows that your club is interested in them if you join them at their service projects as well. I don't have a lot to talk about here. I would welcome questions so that I can maybe dive into something else.
Feel free to unmute yourself if anyone has any questions for Dr. Archer.
Johnny, Mary here.
Hi,
Hello.
Mary.
Can you talk a little bit about some of the service projects, the collaborative things you did at University of Oregon and Oregon State with the local Rotary clubs?
Sure. So Mary was instrumental in getting me involved in Rotaract. Like I said, my sponsor club was not super aware of Rotaract, I guess, at that time. And so I was doing some Googling and whatnot. Somehow came across Mary. Oh, it was because of the new exchange program for, help me out, what's it called, Mary? The, for RILA age, or Rotaract age people.
New Generations Exchange.
Thank
New
you.
Generations
Service exchange, yes.
Yes, that's the one. So I reached out to her about that when I was graduating high school, and then she connected me to Rotaract. And so I've been heavily involved since and very appreciative of Mary's efforts. So both at undergrad and in vet school, I had leadership roles in the clubs at one time or another. And because they were in fairly large cities, for Oregon at least, there were several Rotary clubs. And so we made an effort to reach out to them. We would try and send a representative to a meeting every so often to sort of cultivate that relationship with them. Because like I said, that opens a lot of doors, both for our members and their members, in terms of networking and in terms of collaboration on service projects, so that we can further the goals of Rotary, which is why young people are involved in these clubs in the first place.
Was there one
so
or two
the-
service projects that you really enjoyed working with the Rotary clubs?
Sorry, one more time.
Was there one or two of the service projects that really stood out that you did with the Rotary clubs?
Yeah, I personally feel very strongly about Shelterbox and the good work that they do around the world. And when I was in undergrad, our club put on a project ourselves that was raising money for Shelterbox. It was an auction, sort of silent auction thing, and our district governor actually was the MC. And we had a lot of support from Rotarians for that, both donating items and attending. That was rewarding to see the impact that we could have, sort of collaborating with them. Another one that comes to mind is we frequently just collaborated on club projects that we did not put together. Often auctions are pretty popular, or there was a half marathon in my town that we volunteered at, all raising money for the good work that Rotary does. And if I didn't emphasize this, the fellowship, is a big part of why people stay involved. And so that was an opportunity to engage in that fellowship.
It seems to me that you're saying that one of the weaknesses in our ability to stay connected with alumni is that there needs to be more reaching out from the Rotary clubs to like Rotaract, Rotex and so forth, rather than expecting them to do the connecting of the other way to the Rotary clubs. Is that what you're saying?
I think that's true, especially I think former Rotaractors, having been in Rotaract for 8 years myself, I saw a lot of students, Rotaractors, graduate and then go on their way. And I think that's just the nature of it, because like I said, they're moving cities, states, jobs, navigating a lot. And so, hopefully they'll find their way. But I think where Rotary could really encourage continued participation is the shift from Interact once they graduate high school, because they're less familiar with their options going forward, if that makes sense. So really, your senior in high school interactors, talking to them and telling them about, more about what Rotary does and why they're involved and why they should stay involved. That's a good opportunity to grow membership in the future. It's a long game.
So are you familiar with the community Rotaracts that are starting to spring up that include young professionals outside of the university setting?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of different formats for Rotaract clubs, the satellite clubs and the Rotary Core and the community-based clubs versus university-based. I personally am a fan, having never been in a community-based club. I think it's a good model because you don't have that 4-year turnover.
I can speak to that really quickly, Johnny, if you don't mind.
Please do.
I was unable to participate in Rotaract in college just because my schedule was way too demanding. But after college, I moved cities, was looking to make friends. Oh, how far back do I need to go?
Sorry about that, Anna. That
That's
was
okay.
Looking to make friends, you said?
So I was looking to make friends and went in search of a Rotaract club and discovered that Seattle only had university clubs. But through that search, I managed to connect with a few people that were graduating from college in the Seattle area, and we were able to charter a community-based club. So it kind of became the next transition. Maybe their jobs weren't stable enough or their careers weren't established enough to really dive into Rotary full force, but it gave us that kind of middle point before jumping from Rotaract to Rotary. So the community club was really successful for us.
So I think the big
one thing that we learned in District 5110 was kind of the what's in it for me for Rotaract. So we funded Johnny to go to the international convention, which I think cemented that connection. Johnny, am I speaking out of turn here? He went to the Rotaract pre-convention and then the RI convention, and then reported back to our district, and it was a win for all of us. I think his participation also sent him to Zone Institute to connect with others. And so creating those opportunities and connections and, creating a what's in it for me to step up to a leadership role in Rotaract, I think was a plus, and Johnny can maybe comment on that, but I really felt that was a good way to use district funds, which had already been allocated for Rotaract and had been unused.
Well, that leads us into our next topic, actually.
Okay.
And I want to thank you, Johnny, for joining us and to giving us your ideas. So we are now going to transition to our panel of Rotary Youth Program alumni, which currently serve in leadership positions in Rotary. And we welcome Ann Galloway, who you just heard from, Makiko Makason, and Mike Cassidy. And I will ask each of our three panelists to introduce themselves with their current role as I call on them. And we have 5 questions that I'm going to be asking our panelists, and we'll go on question by question with each panelist answering the first question, then the second, and so forth, responding before we move on to the next question. So let's just start with Anna and continue with what you were saying. What Rotary program did you participate in and when?
Hi, I'm Anna Galloway. I'm currently a youth exchange officer for the District 5100 Youth Exchange Committee for Argentina and Brazil. So hopefully wrapping this up in time to watch my game later. But I have very few Rotary programs that I didn't participate in. I was in Interact briefly once I was selected to be a youth exchange student my junior year of high school. And then joined Rotaract I helped charter a club in Seattle once I finished college. So I had a brief hiatus there where I just kind of popped in and out of youth exchange volunteer opportunities for 7 years, and then joined Rotaract. I moved back to Portland and then joined Rotaract there, another community club. So I only have experience in the community clubs. If you have more questions on that. As Johnny mentioned, our district formed a Rotex group, and so we've been pretty active in that. I've been slowing down on the Rotex front just because I joined the youth exchange committee, so trying to focus on that portion of it, and currently looking for a Rotary club now that I'm kind of straddling 2 districts. I'm still very involved in my district in Oregon, but living in Seattle currently.
Well, thank you, Anna. Makiko.
Hi, I'm Makiko Nakasone. I'm originally from Japan. I am a beneficiary of the Rotary Ambassadorial Scholarship. So I went from Japan to then West Germany to study at the University of Freiburg in the Black Forest for a year. I am currently the district governor-elect. My classmate Roy is here, and I'm really happy to see him. I have held many district positions. And I'm also a charter president of the Rotary Club of Little Tokyo in Los Angeles.
Thank you. Mike.
I think that's me. I know there's a lot of mics on the club.
You're the
but me,
panelist.
I'll say I'm one of the good-looking ones too. One of the good-looking mics. I'm from the small little tiny district of 5080. I'm from the Canadian side of the border in Grand Forks, British Columbia, where when I say to our American friends, it's minus 18 degrees Celsius, they look at me like I'm crazy. It's mainly because I'm a RILA person and I have a lot of the RILA energy. So we like to move, we like to do stuff. I went to RILA in 2002. As a 21-year-old student. I'm a RILA alum. I'm a RILA supporter. I'm currently, we're not in that question, but I'll start from right from the beginning. My mom's a charter member in Castlegar. She didn't force Rotary onto me. The only forceful thing was you have to go to RILA. That was the only thing that was forced on me from years ago. And it was one of the best things that ever happened. Our district is a huge supporter of RILA. If you guys want a lot of RILA advice, you talk to District 5080. Our RILA program is amazing. Very supported by the district. The COVID years were not very good for it, but we're trying to transition out of that COVID mindset back into in person and not online. Yeah, so 2002 is 20 years ago. I'm a 20-year alumni of when I was a camper and been a junior staff, and now I'm currently a senior staff. I think that answers the first question.
Thank you, Mike. We'll go back to Anna. How did the experiences in these youth programs shape you as an individual?
Oh, this one's a big one. I didn't know about Rotary before I heard about Youth Exchange. I actually heard Johnny's country officer speak. She ended up being my club officer. I heard her daughter speak and decided I wanted to go. We had hosted exchange students, but not through Rotary in the past. So it kind of just ignited this bug. And then if anybody, I mean, anybody who knows me now thinks it's silly when I say this, but I was so painfully shy before this whole experience and my exchange, and was very dependent on other people, and, you know, expected my parents to really be the speakers for me. But my youth exchange and my involvement in Rotary really shaped me as a person and showed me that I could step outside of my comfort zone. And actually, I really enjoy doing that. It really showed me that I could push myself and achieve some really amazing things. So I don't think I would have gone to college had I not gone on exchange. I think I would have seen it as a money issue. And instead, I didn't mention this earlier, but I did get a Rotary scholarship for college. So just my continued involvement kind of, it just kept pushing me forward. I had this huge support system behind me always, and a million cheerleaders, and this really great thing to fall back on when I needed support. So Rotary was many things to me, but I think that's probably the biggest one.
Thank you, Anna. Makiko.
There are just so many things, but I was the ambassadorial scholar in 1982 to 83. So that's, 4 decades ago. In those days, it was extremely difficult for the Japanese to go overseas, let alone as far as to Europe. So, that alone changed my life. In Japan, when we compare ourselves with outside of the world, we bundle Europe and the United States together. But once I got there and spent a year studying there, I realized Europe and the United States are quite different. And even within Europe, each country, obviously is quite different because of language, history, and political systems. So that was really shocking to me because I lived, I really, really experienced that. So as some of you may know, in Germany, you have to have your opinion. And in Japan, it's a country of historically, country of emphasizing and putting a virtue on harmony. So, to express one's opinion isn't even, particularly at the time, wasn't that stressed. But in Germany, unless if I wanted to join the conversation, I had to have an opinion. So that really trained me to have my own thinking, my own thoughts and opinions, and which led me to become a journalist at the world's largest financial newspaper, Nikkei. So it really helped me dramatically. It was truly a life-changing experience.
Thank you, Makiko. Mike.
So when I went to RILA in 2002, it was literally life-changing for me. I had already been to college. I was shy, trying to fit in, little guy, didn't really have a voice, was just trying to be part of the crowd. And going to RILA showed me that I could be myself. There was a great staff there that allowed you to really be yourself. So that is something I took out of RILA. And when I came back after the week-long camp, I went to the Rotary Club and I talked to them of what it meant to me, and they had to cut me off. So Lane and Chris, if I start talking too much, it tends to be what I do. Just push the mute button and then continue on. And that goes to anybody else who has the power to mute people. But the RILA program was very beneficial to me. in finding my voice and finding who I was. And the support system from our Rotary clubs and district were amazing, and still are amazing. So my senior staffers from my RILA experience are still part of the RILA leadership group. So I still work with them. I still go down to their houses when we were allowed to cross the border, and we camp out in their basements and stuff. So anyway, yeah, really amazing experience for RILA for me.
Thank you, Mike. Our next question may be quick before we go to the next one, but it's what current leadership positions do you have? Anna.
I mentioned this already, so sorry for jumping the gun, but I'm currently the country officer for Argentina and Brazil in District 5100 on our Youth Exchange Committee.
Wonderful. Makiko.
I'm sorry, I also mentioned that, but I'm going to be the 5th woman district governor. I will be in a row in 23-24. And not
wonderful.
only 5 women, 5 different ethnicities.
That's awesome. Mike.
My current leadership roles are I'm the past president of our passport club. Currently the RILA district chair is the leadership role I just took on for District 5080.
Thank you. Okay, back to Anna. What wisdom would you have for these conference attendees in engaging their Rotary Youth Service Program alumni?
There's been a little bit of chatter in the chat box that I think will probably be a bit of repeat from what I'm going to say, but our district was really wonderful at just taking interest in us and consistently inviting us. Like I said, I wasn't very engaged during college. My schedule was so demanding, it was really difficult, but I was able to attend almost one event every single year, and my country officer kept inviting me back. The people that really cheered me on from the district committee and my club were actually present at my high school graduation party and my college graduation party, and there's still people that are in my lives. God, 18 years? No. Yeah, somewhere around there, 18 years later. So, it's almost been 20 years of relationships with these people, but they just were persistent and gave us all a lot of grace and space to be flexible. Johnny mentioned a few times that we're all in so much transition in our 20s. And so it was moving cities and moving colleges and figuring out our careers. And I think giving people the space to figure that out, or encouraging them to connect with Rotary where they are at, even if it's not your own, will keep them coming back and keep them engaged with you. My sponsor club still talks to me. They still remember my face when I show up at district events, and it feels so good to be recognized and feel like I've been a Rotarian since I was 15 years old, and not just you were that kid we knew once. Like, they really made me feel part of Rotary. They encouraged me to go to RILA again and again and again until I finally went, and it was amazing. So Mike, keep preaching to the choir over here, but yeah, I think it's just giving people the space, playing that long game, like Johnny said, and being okay with if they're in a space for a Rotaract or for no involvement or for just coming to a service project once in a while. Recognizing that goes a really long way.
Thank you, Anna. Makiko.
I want to thank RI and Mike Friend and the Zone for really putting spotlight on the alumni, the importance of alumni to us Rotary clubs and Rotary districts. But I do like to see that more districts reach out to their alumni individually as well. In case of my district, I'm my alumni-based satellite club is hosting our district's third alumni reunion this afternoon, actually. So I like to encourage other districts if you haven't done so, to really start having similar reconnect occasions, because I think everybody else said that, I said very eloquently, so I'm not going to go further, but I think, in our own lives, we cherish relationship professionally and also both in our private lives. And I think we have to do that for the relationship that we have established in Rotary by a way of, reaching out to the alumni. Thank you.
Thank you, Makiko. Mike.
I have two key pieces of wisdom to bring. I'm only 43 years old, but I'll bring some wisdom that really helped us connect our RILA alum. And this comes directly from our huge supporters at our district level of 5080, is we started a passport club. And I don't know if anybody knows what a passport club is, but it is that exact transition from people who have left the Rotaract Club or RILA alum, and they are in transition. They don't know where they're going to be living. They're not going to be living at home anymore or living at the university. And the Passport Club, we call it hiddenly the RILA Passport Club in our district, because most of our club members are former RILA alumni. And the Passport Club allows flexibility to where you live. So it's online. We meet twice or three times a month at various times. Whenever people put their hand up, I can't make Tuesday at 7. Can we change it to Wednesday at 8? And everybody's like, yep, okay. So that flexibility is the wisdom that allows young professionals to really engage into Rotary community. It's been really, really important for our district, and they've been a huge supporter. So if you, other people, and we are a small district compared to some of the other ones, with small towns like Nakusp that has 520 people in it. It's hard to get people to stay, I guess, because they all want to go after they graduate university to a bigger center like Seattle or Vancouver or somewhere else. And that's my segue into my second piece. And Doreen Kelsey's on our thing. She's our membership chair for the district. She does an amazing job of taking our alumni, say RILA alumni, and passing them on to other clubs in other districts, wherever they're going. And not a lot of people move to Grand Forks, British Columbia, because it's not Grand Forks, North Dakota. It's a small little tiny town of 4,000 people. But the people that do show up or do come are given the opportunity to go into the Rotary world. So that's the second piece, is get in touch with other membership people to pass on, hey, there's a former alumni coming to your area. Please get in touch with them. And Doreen does a really good job of that, to pass on prospective members, I guess. So yeah, the Passport Club and the having a membership chair to push, hey, they're coming from a different club, they're coming to your area. Hook up with them. Here's their email.
Thank you, Mike. Our last question, and I'm sure you've been thinking about this. Any final words that you would like to share with these conference attendees, Anna?
I think just the fact that you all are interested enough to show up on a Saturday and listen to alumni, it says a lot. I think we've covered most of what I could think of. Just keep connecting, be flexible, and give some grace. So
Thank you, Anna, for joining us. Makiko.
I really would like to let all the alumni in our area, we are in and around Los Angeles, know that Rotary Club is not just a service club, but it's a club that really help us grow as a person. So I'm really reflecting myself. I've been in Rotary for almost 20 years, and that's what I really, really cherish and appreciate the most, that I've grown to be a more compassionate and kinder person by working with the fellow Rotarians, and reflecting my own self as the incoming district governor. I realized that I really need to speak to Interact clubs, Rotaract clubs, to let them know what more is available within Rotary. And so, I pledge that I will do that in the coming months and years.
Thank you, Makiko. Mike.
I guess the major contribution, I use a different word. I guess we use a different word in 5080. When Rylarians come to Ryla, they're a bit hesitant. What kind of cult is this? Is this a church group? All those apprehensions that come along with typical Ryla. No, we're not a cult, we have to say. And then by the end of the week, we say the words, "You've sipped the Rotary Kool-Aid." And that's how we phrase it. I don't know if anybody else phrases it, but it's a good one to use. The Kool-Aid, once they have it, the engagement is the most important part. Is now they have it, now they understand what Rotary is, now they've learned something about themselves. Keep in contact. So we do a really good job of the Ryla side, but when I think back, I was an Interact leader and we went on 4 international trips. I really haven't done a very good job of connecting with those interactors that you go on 4 trips, there's something like 80 kids and parents, and that are all Rotarian alumni, that I haven't done a very good job. So that makes me think I should probably do a really better job of connecting with those past interactors and see where they are. See what town they're in, see if there's a club near them, one of those kind of things. So that's a kind of a light bulb moment that you guys gave me, is that communication engagement. So if anybody else has the same thought or something from the past, because 2007 is a long time ago, but that was when we went to Bolivia. So, and where are they now? I'm kind of curious, and I want to see if they're still interested in Rotary. So that would be a final word that I'm going to take from this, and that everybody should probably pass on or absorb.
Thank you, Mike. We're a little ahead of time. I'd like to just take a moment myself to say how grateful I am to have been able to live a life of working with youth. As I said in the beginning, I worked for the Boy Scouts for over 40 years, but the unique thing I did was work with the co-ed program called Exploring or Venturing, where I was preparing young people, as Rotaract and Interact does, to become the careers of their future. And I think that's one of the things we're starting to realize, that besides service projects, we need to get some vocational ed there, whereas we as mentors of the Interact and Rotaract from the Rotary clubs, the ones that are passionate about working with youth, we find those people and we get them in. When I was governor, we made a big push to find Rotary scouting people, because that's what I was. And the fellowship grew in my district by almost 50. We gave out 50 Cliff Doctormans. Mine was one of them, which was wonderful. And I think that's the opportunity that we want to look at in our districts. because Zone is there. Zone has been very good to me. Immediately after being governor, I was asked to be the assistant Rotary coordinator to introduce youth service to our zone as the Fifth Avenue service, which I guess it still really technically is. And then later on, I went on and I had worked with Art back then in those days. And then Chris came along and Denver, when we got together as Zone, as the youth chairs that were interested in working with youth, this whole thing developed. And those that had a passion for working with youth came together, and we welcome anybody to connect with Chris and let him know that you're interested in being a part of it. If not on the task force for the two zones, the unique opportunity that Art and I and Dave, who's also on here, have had, and Chris, is we have a booth every year at the zone conference as we train our new governors. Matiko saw it, Roy saw it, and there's a youth task force table there where we promoted this. We talked about different activities, trying to find out who are the people in the different districts that really cared about the youth. And that's really what it's all about. As governor, I was very lucky. We were allowed to do our own theme as well as the Lead the Way theme that we had. And I chose character counts in the family of Rotary, because as I've mentioned, and we've mentioned many times, we are a family. Whether you're Interact, whether you're RILA, whether you're Youth Exchange, whether you're Rotaract or Rotary, E-Club, whatever it is, we're all a family. We all believe in the Rotary program, and those on this call really believe in working with youth and developing them, because they're going to be sitting in our spots in a few years. And we want the right people to be leading Rotary, and we have the opportunity ourselves to be the ones to bring those forward. We were lucky in zone 26, 27 that Mike Fram, who I just believe left us, allowed Anna Bajo, who is online with us, who is also from Rotary International and working with youth, to join us for the entire weekend at our Rotary Zone Institute that we just had in Salt Lake. And so she was there. She took a lot of notes and realizes we in the West do things a little differently. And we are looking forward to working with her and with Mike and with other people at Rotary International as we move forward in this program. So let's go ahead.
Lane, thank you so much. You're doing an amazing job. I wanted to, there's Roy has a hand up. Roy, would you love to, do you have a question or a contribution?
Good morning, everyone. Actually, thank you again for doing this. As Mikiko mentioned, I am also district governor-elect in District 5320. I just really wanted to give a quick comment about the fact that my club is about to induct a 28-year-old RILA and Interact alumni. And so this goes to speak on the importance of reconnecting with our Rotary alumni. The story with this young lady is that she's an independent claims adjuster, and she was at a client's automobile repair shop a couple of months ago, and one of the customers was in Kiwanis and spoke to the manager of the shop about joining Kiwanis. And then he spoke to her and asked if she was an employee, and she mentioned that she was independent. And he said, well, you should also come to a Kiwanis meeting. And she thought about it. She goes, well, I was in Interact and I went to RILA when I was at Catella High School. If I'm going to join a service club, I should join Rotary. So she went to Rotary International, signed up to find out about membership in the club. They sent the lead to us. We invited her. She came to a meeting, participated in a food drive service project, and she just submitted her membership application to her club. She loves it. But she said to me that had that person not mentioned joining Kiwanis, another service club, it was just out of her head. It was out of sight, out of mind. So just how many other youth alumni are out of sight, out of mind? So unless they're asked or they hear the word Rotary or whatever, they don't even think about us. So it's just a good example of why we need to reconnect with these youth and give them the opportunity to reconnect with our clubs. But thank you so much for putting this on. I think it's fantastic, and it's very, very important that we do this. Thank you.
Thank you, Roy. Are there other questions in the chat, Chris, that we have a little time to?
Well, Makiko has a question.
Well, actually, it's not a question, but and I think Mike Frink can say better, but I'm a very data-oriented person, and Mike recently told me that we have served more than 1 million. I mean, we have more than 1 million alumni in the world. So, you know, just imagine how many people we can reach out to if we wanted to.
Well, the other thing is on Zone and on RI International, I've been to about 10 of each of the institutes since I've been governor. The neat thing is that there's always youth-related tables at Zone, and also 5170, as we know, which Chris Miller's from, is probably the largest Interact in the world with over 4,000, and now is our World Interact Chair. Chris is very much involved with what's going on right now. But the other thing for Rotaract, and even though Rotaract is a separate organization from youth services in our zone and at our RI, they are critical to keep involved as mentors to our youth, whether it's at Interact, RILA, Youth Exchange, any of them. We need to keep those Rotaractors involved. And as you get those Rotaractors, we have taken the opportunity, and I'm sure other districts have, to send a couple of them to the Institute, because there are Rotary breakouts that though it can sit side by side with your leaders from Rotaract and our leaders from Rotaract who were there in Salt Lake and got really pumped up as our DRRs and we still call them district governors in Interact, and we used to do it in Rotaract. And a number of us in the West still do that. One of the strengths I had when I was governor and youth chair and all those different things was having those three chairs together, whether you call them a DIR or a district governor. You want that Interact person, you want the leadership of your Rotaract person and your district governor to work together as a team, as one family of the three leaders of the strong programs of Rotary. So keep that in mind. RI also has Rotaract, also a pre-conference at every RI convention every year. So send your kids there. And also in the past, in different international ones, Interactors have been able to participate. It's harder because it's, too expensive to send the kids, but think about it. 5170 always has an Interact booth at the International Convention. They're an amazing district that we all take leadership from, and built our youth councils, which if you don't have a youth council, really think about getting a parallel organization together, because that's where you find those leaders that come out of RILA, come out of Interact. They become your district youth council. So think about that as we move forward, and use the zone opportunity. Go to zone 26, 27, link on the youth service chair. And you can watch the videos of all our other programs on RILA, Youth Exchange, Youth Protection, Youth Exchange, all the different programs we've done. So as we move forward, we're going to transition to our breakout sessions, unless there's something else somebody else wants to add. Chris.
Mike, real quickly, because we got to get moving into our breakout sessions.
Oh, Chris, I didn't do anything really quickly. Anyway, I have a question from Johnny Archer. What was your question, Johnny?
Yes, you mentioned that someone in your district, I believe, connected alumni when they moved to a different area to Rotary groups in that area. And I was wondering how that worked, how you knew they were moving, that kind of thing, because that's a big challenge.
Our RILA group has Facebook pages, has lots of, like, if you go to RILA, you join up for this Facebook page, and a lot of the connections that come from that and relationships, and that's just word of mouth. Through the RILA alumni, that's how we know that they're going to go transfer to a different college in California, in New York, and we get them to either through our Rotary connections, because we're older, pass them on to like a communications person or a membership person in that district. So in our district, it'd be Doreen Kelsey in District 5080. And there's a very cool thing in our district. I don't know if you guys have it, but the DACDB setup is very, very good for communication and relationship, and it's the people who set it up make it easier for like a president to get information out to everybody. So that would be a way, Johnny, to get that out, is have somebody in the membership side on your side to get connections, I guess, is another one to say. And the other thing, somebody had a question about Passport Club. Does everybody not have Passport Clubs? Are we?
I think they put your information in the chat that you're gonna be sending that passport information to a number of us.
So
Hopefully-
I'll bring, should I just put my email down, and like, if you guys come to
and
our passport
send
meeting,
it to Chris, and Chris has the list of today,
Okay.
and he'll send it out to everybody on this call. If you send it to Chris.
because our club would love to have lots of people from different
Oh.
districts and Rotarians come to our Passport Club. That would be exciting and fun. And one thing about the Passport Club is flexibility. You don't have to live in the same place. I was in an e-club for a while, and it didn't do what I needed. And a brick and mortar club doesn't meet at a time that is conducive to my work schedule. So the Passport Club is about flexibility. If you guys want to know about flexibility, talk to somebody in a Passport Club, because it promotes flexibility and membership in Rotary, doing Rotary things.
Well, there are a lot of different membership. RI has become very flexible. I think that's a good word for it. And there are a lot of satellite clubs like we just started that bring in 15 people immediately into your club, or starting their own e-club, or even a Rotaract that doesn't need our clubs to sponsor them. There's a lot of opportunities for young people to join Rotary family. And I think that's the key. We now have to transition to our breakout sessions, where you'll have more chance to talk about your individual interests. And I think some of these will follow what we've been doing exactly. And there are 5 options that Chris is going to put on the line. 4?
Actually 4, yes. We have
4 options, and you get to choose 2 of them. And they will be repeated. After the 45 minutes, we'll have a 5-minute break in between. But as you can see, the first one is creating and sustaining a Rotary Youth Exchange effort, ROTEX, which David Zybert from 5190 will be talking about. And if you don't know about ROTEX, this may be one of your sessions. Connecting with new and returning alumni, Niana Gustovich in District 5930. Engaging alumni using RI resources, Rotary Reconnect Week, and Rotary Alumni associations. We should pay attention. These are outside our zone. So we may want to pay attention how they're doing it across the country in the other areas. Bill Hill from District 6970, and my brother is a lead the way governor, Jim Probusser in District 7600. The last one is engaging RILA alumni. I encourage Mike Darnold, who's known as the father of RILA in our district, and Bridget Markwood, who created the COVID part of our RILA, so that we had people graduate in 6 days from that program. We are now doing a digital program that it starts 3 days online, and then they get to go up in the mountains for 3 days. So it's a hybrid, which is really a unique opportunity you may want to take advantage of. Chris and I also presented at the Zone Institute a program that they have put together of levels of involving the RILA alumni that we're just talking about, that it's going from their first experience there to their staff experience to junior counselor, senior counselor, and facilitator as you're a Rotarian. So keeping people involved in RILA forever with a database that was just talked about, that's so critical to everything we're doing. So please pick one of the sessions for your first one.
So Lane, I do want to, we actually have a fifth, and this was my apologies on this. There was a miscommunication on name. So we do have a fifth, and that is a breakout session that, and I'm going to change the slide here, and it is my district 5170 has a enterprise program, and it is a 3-day program for high school juniors to basically create a product or service and create a business plan around that. So think Shark Tank, but a bit nicer in terms of the Rotary way. So that is going to be our fifth session, and that is Randy Zeckman in my district 5170. And so there will be 5 breakout sessions. My apologies again for that. So what's going to happen is in a moment, I am going to open up the breakout session rooms, and would encourage you to join one of them. You'll be able to do that by selecting through at the bottom of your Zoom. There should be in a moment, there will be an option to pick select. If you're unable to select your own room, please let me know and I will move you to that room. Are there any questions before I open up the breakout sessions?
So which are the numbers? Can you show us again? Because
yes.
Did the numbers on me.
Yes, I apologize for that, Lane. That was my apology.
So which one is engaging RILA with Mike and Bridget, and which one is enterprise?
Hold on a quick second. And again, this was my bad on this.
We going back to the original?
No. Hold on. Okay. Sorry, just be patient. I'll be right back.
It's good we have a professor as our leader.
Does that mean I have time to talk some more, Chris? Thanks.
No,
Appreciate it.
no, I appreciate that. Enterprise program. Okay. So here we go. So what's going to, let me pull this back up. Okay. Okay, so here's, I think we're ready to go. So I am going to open up, let's see, share screen. Here are the options. Again, they will be repeated twice. So I would encourage you to select one of the options. And then it will be repeated in a second time. So again, the addition is this enterprise leadership program that Randy Zeckman has done a tremendous job in my district in developing. It's a program that's been in existence for almost 40 years and done a tremendous job of engaging alumni. In fact, last week there was, or 2 weeks ago, a presentation by the mayor of San Jose, who was an alumni of the Enterprise Leadership Program. So highly recommend that you check out that session as if you are interested in that. So here we go. I have opened all the rooms and you now have the ability to go to choose one of the rooms that you would like to go to. So please go ahead and do that now.
I wasn't able to select a room. I wanted to go to Mike Darnell's, what was that, number 4?
Engaging RILA alumni.
Yes. Thank you.
That's where I'm trying to go too.
Yeah, I'm trying to get to number 4 too.
You are Dennis, right?
Yep, I am Dennis.
Okay, where are you right now? I'm gonna move you. You want to go to the engaging? Okay, try.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, I also want to go into 4. This is Audrey.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I have moved you there.
No, I'm still with you.
No, well, I'm telling you, I have moved you there to that room. So if you didn't get a announcement, what I am going to do, let's see, did you just get
Okay.
any?
Do it again. Let me see if I just.
Okay. Engaging alumni. You get a notice?
No.
Hmm. You want, I'm sorry, you said you wanted to go to the RILA one, correct?
Yes, please.
Okay, I've sent you, you are in that, it's showing that you are there. So did you not get a little box? Okay, is there?
Your little box.
I'm gonna pause.
I'm on my iPad, so I don't have.
I was muted. Sorry about that. Welcome back. We're going to take a 5-minute break. Hope you have really enjoyed these programs as I have, and some of them have been cut off since we started a little late. So maybe you can talk to the people in your session. If they gave you some contact information, that would be great. Or you can watch the video yourself for the second session. If you don't pick it a second time on YouTube, which Chris will tell you more about as we put this program on YouTube and on the Rotary 5350, the Rotary 2627 zone site. So right now we're going to take a 5-minute break. As you think about which of the 5 you want to pick again, Chris will put that up now so that you can decide on your second choice. Are we still live?
I don't know about anybody else, but I'm pre-recorded.
Folks, I'm gonna have to run, but I thank y'all very much for your time. I have to go to a thing this night. I mean, it's going on 9 o'clock here in Germany. I thank you all for your time.
Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you for being a part of it.
Absolutely. Please let me know if there's anyone I can reach out to in Germany or the Netherlands, and I'll be happy to follow up with them.
I gotta go too. Thanks, Lane. Thanks, Chris, for inviting me to this. I appreciate it. I had a lot of fun. You didn't mute me too much, so good times. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Mike. Keep going, keep Ryla growing and keep them in for life, the way we just talked about.
Keep sipping the Kool-Aid.
You got it. Engage, engage. That's the key word here. Reconnect with them. Give them a call wherever they go. Follow them. Whichever program they come out of, we want to keep in touch with them as they move through college and into their professions.
Okay, I am going to open up the breakout rooms. We will have this next session, like the last session, we will go for 40 minutes. So 40 minutes, and just as a reminder for those breakout session leaders to please make sure that you hit record, and I think we'll be all good. I'm going to go ahead and open up the rooms, and please let me know if there's anything that you need from me. So I have, let's see, Dennis, Anna, Art, Joyce, do you have any preference of where you want to go? Dennis, do you have any preference of where you want to go?
Yes, I would like to go into number 4.
Okay, I will send you there right now.
Thank you, sir.
You are there. Anna, Art, Joyce. Debbie.
You're sending me to the RI resources session again?
Yes, you are already there, but let me,
Oh,
sometimes if you don't click fast enough, it disappears. So I'm
oh,
gonna,
sorry. I was taking a break.
yeah, so I'm going to move you to a different room, and then I'm gonna move you back. So you might get a little warning. Don't click on that. I'll click on the second one. Okay. And then I'm gonna send Debbie back to. Okay, Debbie, you should have gotten a thing,
Yeah, I see it. I'll join.
Judy, Joyce, Anna, Arts.
And a happy holiday to all of you, and hope to see you at the next gathering that we do after the first of the year. So I'll turn it back to Chris, our leader, to officially close, but thank you for joining us, and thanks, Chris, for giving me the opportunity to MC this, and Art, because
Yes.
Art's done it many times.
Yes, thank you so much, Lane. You did a wonderful job. And thank you everybody so much for being here. I did put in the chat our YouTube channel. So once we get the recordings, the main session recording will be able to be downloaded. And then for those individual breakout facilitators, please, you can send me your recording link. No worries about that, David. Thanks for letting me know. Okay, well, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your weekend. And thanks again so much for being here.
Thank you all. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Roy, for
Happy
participating.
holidays.
Good to
Mike?
see you all.
Audrey, thank you
Glad
for
to
coming
spend
in.
some time with you.
Good to see you, Anna.
Chris, thanks for all you do to make this happen. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, this was awesome, Chris.
Thank
Came
you.
off
Thank
well,
you,
even
Art,
though
for helping out.
if we can get it to other people somehow, that's the key
Yeah.
at this point, because there was a small attendance.
Yep. Art, great to see you, buddy. Please, we'll get a chance to shake hands, I hope.
We'll get Chris down to